The sound of her collar ripping was nothing compared to the sound of 6 feet 2 inches of pure muscle hitting the ground. When Jaden Cooper grabbed Skylar Bennett by the throat that Friday afternoon, every single person in that hallway thought they were about to witness a murder. What they saw instead changed everything. Picture this, February 2024. Third-floor hallway of Riverside High School in Denver. The kind of place where kids drive $60,000 cars to school and everyone's planning their Ivy League future. Now imagine a 17-year-old girl, maybe 5'4", 110 pounds soaking wet, standing there with her vintage film camera. She's been at this school exactly 3 days. 3 days. And she's already made the worst enemy possible. Skylar Bennett wasn't supposed to be in that boys' bathroom on Wednesday morning. The sign had fallen off the door, or maybe someone took it down as a prank. She'd pushed through, desperate after drinking too much coffee to stay awake through another night of unpacking boxes. This was her 6th school in 10 years. Her dad was military, and home was wherever the Army sent them next. But there, hunched over the sink, was Jaden Cooper, star shooting guard, future Duke Blue Devil, the guy whose face was on every recruitment poster in the athletic wing. And he was sobbing, not just crying, having a full-blown panic attack, gasping for air, pills scattered across the counter. Their eyes met in the mirror for maybe 2 seconds. Skylar backed out without a word. She didn't take a picture, didn't tell anyone, just turned around and found another bathroom. But Jaden didn't know that. All he knew was that someone had seen him at his absolute weakest, and in his world. That was a death sentence. If you're feeling that rush of what's going to happen next, hit that like button. It really helps more people discover these stories. And if you want to share where you're watching from, drop it in the comments below. For those who want to support more stories like this one, there's a thanks button right under this video. Every contribution, no matter how small, helps me bring you more inspiring tales of courage and standing up for what's right. Thank you for being here. Now, let's see what happens when push comes to shove. See, Jaden Cooper had been raised by a father who played 2 seasons in the NBA before blowing out his knee. A father who lived his failed dreams through his son. A father who told him every single day that winners don't cry. Champions don't break. And Coopers never, ever show weakness. So when anxiety started creeping in during sophomore year, Jaden hid it. When the panic attack started, he got pills from his cousin who dealt. When the pressure became unbearable, he built higher walls. And now this quiet girl with the camera had seen behind those walls. The campaign started small. Thursday morning, Skylar found her locker filled with torn photo prints. Not hers, but stock photos of crying babies with snitch written across them in red marker. By lunch, whispers followed her through the cafeteria. That's the creepy new girl who takes pictures of people in bathrooms. But Brooklyn Hayes, Jaden's girlfriend and captain of the cheerleading squad, made sure the rumor spread like wildfire. She had this way of destroying people with a smile. All sugar-sweet Southern accent hiding poison. "Oh, honey," she'd say, loud enough for everyone to hear. "We just want to make sure you know the rules here. Privacy matters at Riverside." But Skylar had been the new girl too many times to care about rumors. She kept her head down, kept taking pictures. That camera, a beat-up Canon from the 1980s that belonged to her late mother, was her shield. Through that lens, the world made sense. People revealed themselves in moments they thought no one was watching. What she didn't know was that Jaden was watching her right back. following her routes through school, noting that she always ate lunch alone in the photography room, discovering that she walked home instead of driving, taking the long way through Cheeseman Park to photograph the old trees. Friday came with gray skies and the kind of cold that cuts through your bones. Riverside had lost Thursday night's game against Cherry Creek, their biggest rival. Jaden had missed 6 free throws. 6. His father didn't speak to him the entire ride home, and the silence was worse than screaming could ever be. So when Jaden saw Skylar heading up to the 3rd floor after last period, the floor where hardly anyone went, where the old music rooms collected dust and the security cameras had been under maintenance for 2 years, something inside him snapped. She was adjusting her camera strap when she heard the footsteps. Heavy, deliberate. She turned just as Jaden rounded the corner, his whole crew behind him. Marcus, the center who could bench press 350. Trey, whose father owned half the commercial real estate in Denver. Deshaun, who'd already signed with Colorado State. "We need to talk," Jaden said. His voice was different from Wednesday morning. No vulnerability, just cold fury. Skylar took a step back. "About what? You know what." He moved closer. The hallway suddenly felt very narrow. "You've been taking pictures, following me around. What are you? Some kind of stalker?" "I don't follow anyone." Her voice stayed steady, but her hand tightened on the camera strap. "I just take pictures of the school, architecture, light patterns, nothing to do with you." "Liar." The word came out like a slap. "I know what you saw. I know what you're planning." And here's the thing about Skylar that nobody at Riverside knew every summer since she was 9. While other kids went to camp or vacation, she lived with her grandfather in Seattle. Grandpa Kenji had fought in World War II on the Japanese side. After the war, he'd spent decades teaching judo, not as a sport, but as a philosophy. "True strength," he'd tell her, "is like water. It yields until the exact moment it needs to strike." 8 summers of 4 hours a day on the mat. 8 summers of learning to read body language, to feel the shift in someone's weight before they moved. 8 summers of muscle memory drilled so deep it became instinct. So when Jaden's hand shot out and grabbed her collar, when he pulled her forward with enough force to lift her onto her toes, Skylar's body responded before her mind could even process the threat. Her left hand came up, gripping his wrist. Her right hand shot to his elbow. A pivot, a drop of her center of gravity. And suddenly, 200 pounds of basketball star was airborne. The Ippon Seoi Nage, one of the first throws Grandpa Kenji taught her, executed with the kind of perfection that would make black belts weep. Jaden hit the linoleum floor with a sound like thunder. The air rushed out of his lungs in a whoosh that echoed off the empty lockers. For a moment, nobody moved. Not his crew, frozen in disbelief. Not Skylar, still in her follow-through position. Not even Jaden, flat on his back, staring at the ceiling like he was trying to figure out which truck had hit him. Then she did something nobody expected. Instead of running, instead of fighting more, Skylar knelt beside him, close enough that only he could hear. "Your pills," she whispered. "The ones that scattered on the bathroom floor. Xanax, right. My mom took the same ones before she died." Jaden's eyes went wide, not with anger now, but with something closer to terror. "I never took a picture," she continued, her voice soft but firm. "I never told anyone. I never would have, but you—" She stood up, looking down at him. "You just told everyone yourself." That's when they heard it. the soft whir of a phone camera. Mason Rodriguez stood at the far end of the hallway, his iPhone held high, his face a mix of excitement and, holy shit, what did I just record? Got the whole thing, Mason said, already backing away. This is going to be bigger than the cafeteria food fight video. Bigger than when Tommy Nawin caught Principal Morrison with the drama teacher. Mason! Don't! Jaden tried to get up, but his legs weren't cooperating. The panic was setting in now. Real panic. The kind that made his chest tight and his vision blur. But Mason was already gone, sneakers squeaking against the floor as he ran. In the age of social media, having exclusive footage of Jaden Cooper getting destroyed by a girl half his size, that was gold. That was TikTok famous. That was 1 million views waiting to happen. Brooklyn appeared out of nowhere, dropping to her knees beside Jaden. Baby? Are you okay? What did she do to you? She shot Skylar a look that could melt steel. You're going to pay for this. My daddy's a lawyer. He'll sue you back to whatever trash heap you crawled out of. Skylar picked up her camera from where it had fallen, checked the lens for cracks, then looked Brooklyn straight in the eye. Your boyfriend assaulted me. 4 witnesses saw it. 1 recorded it. Your daddy can try whatever he wants, but physics doesn't lie. Neither does video. She turned to walk away, then paused. Oh, and Brooklyn. You might want to help him find his pills. They rolled under the lockers when he fell. The cheerleader's face went pale. What pills? But Skylar was already walking, her footsteps steady and unhurried. Behind her, she could hear Jaden starting to hyperventilate, his crew panicking, Brooklyn's voice getting shrill. She didn't look back. The thing about being the new kid 6 times is that you learn to read the ending before it comes. You know when you've crossed the line from outsider to enemy. You know when a place is about to become unbearable. And as Skylar pushed through the heavy doors and stepped into the Colorado cold, she knew her 3 days of invisibility at Riverside High were over. What she didn't know was that Mason Rodriguez was already in the parking lot, uploading the video with shaking hands. She didn't know that within an hour, Riverside Flip would be trending locally. She didn't know that Jaden's father was about to see his son's humiliation spread across the internet like wildfire. And she definitely didn't know about the text message Jaden would send to his dealer cousin that night, or what that cousin would decide to do about the girl who'd embarrassed his family. Skylar walked through Cheeseman Park like she did every day, stopping to photograph the way the late afternoon light filtered through the bare branches. Her grandfather had taught her many things beyond judo: how to find beauty in simple moments, how to stay calm when the world was chaos, how to be like water, yielding until the moment you couldn't yield anymore. But even water, when pushed too far, becomes a tsunami. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her swipe. Skylar Bennett. The voice was professional, concerned. This is Mrs. Peterson from Riverside High. We need to talk about what happened today. Can you come to my office first thing Monday morning? Am I in trouble? A pause. That's complicated. The video is causing quite a stir. But Skylar, I'm more concerned about your safety. Jaden Cooper's family, they have resources, influence. I've seen what happens when someone challenges them. I didn't challenge anyone. I defended myself. I know. I believe you. But sometimes being right isn't enough. Not here. Not with these people. Another pause. Just Be careful this weekend. Okay, and if anything happens, anything at all, you call me immediately." The line went dead. Skylar stood there in the fading light, camera in her hands, thinking about her mother, about the pills that couldn't save her, about the boxes they still hadn't finished unpacking in their new apartment, about how her father would react when he found out his daughter had made enemies on day 3. She raised her camera one more time, focusing on a crow perched on a dead branch, black against gray sky. Waiting, watching, surviving. The shutter clicked, somewhere across town. Mason's video hit 10,000 views. The comments were already pouring in, teams forming, sides being chosen. The kind of digital mob justice that could destroy a person in hours. But all of that would come later. Right now. There was just a girl with a camera, walking home through a park, not knowing that, by Monday morning, everything would change. Not knowing that Jaden's cousin was already making calls. Not knowing that her grandfather's lessons were about to be tested in ways that even he couldn't have imagined. Have you ever had a moment where you stood up for yourself, only to realize you'd just declared war? The weekend stretched ahead to ye like a held breath. 48 hours before she'd have to walk back into that school. 48 hours for the video to spread. For plans to be made. For the kind of retribution that rich kids with wounded pride specialized in. Skylar made it home just as the streetlights came on. Her dad's car wasn't in the lot. He was pulling another double shift at the base. The apartment was dark. Boxes still stacked in corners like cardboard ghosts. She set her camera on the kitchen counter and noticed her hands were shaking. Not from fear, from adrenaline finally wearing off, from the realization that she'd just body-slammed the most popular guy in school, from the knowledge that Monday was coming, whether she was ready or not. She pulled out her phone and scrolled to her grandfather's number. Thought about calling, telling him everything. But what would she say? That she'd used his teachings to humiliate someone, that she'd turned his philosophy of water into a weapon instead. She opened her laptop. The video was everywhere now. Tiny girl destroys basketball star. Riverside High bully gets instant karma. You won't believe what this quiet girl did. 20,000 views. 30,000. Climbing like a fever. In the comments, she saw names she recognized from school. Some calling her a hero. Others calling her things that made her close the laptop. But one comment stopped her cold. That's not the whole story. Wait till you see what she did to deserve it. Posted by JC Elite 24. Jaden's private account. Her phone buzzed again. This time, a text from a number she didn't recognize. You think you're tough. You haven't seen anything yet. Monday. We finish this. Then another, better transfer schools now. Save yourself the trouble. And another, my brother doesn't take disrespect, especially not from nobodies. That last one made her pause. Brother, not friend, not teammate. Brother. Skylar's mind raced back to Mrs. Peterson's warning about the Cooper family's resources, about influence, about what happens when someone challenges them. She'd thought it was just about Jaden and his father. But if he had a brother... She grabbed her laptop again, searching social media. It didn't take long to find him. Ethan Cooper, 22. Former Riverside star who'd graduated 4 years ago. Now running what looked like a private security firm, but felt like something else entirely. His Instagram was full of guns, expensive cars, and guys who looked like they collected debts with their fists. Her phone rang. Her dad. Hey, baby girl, just saw something online. Everything okay? She could hear the concern threading through his exhaustion. Could picture him standing in some break room at the base, still in uniform. Probably hasn't eaten since breakfast. "Dad, Skylar, I need you to listen carefully. I just got a call from my CO, apparently. Someone's been asking questions about us. About our transfer here, about you." His voice dropped lower. "What happened at school?" So she told him. All of it. The bathroom, the rumors, the hallway, the throw, the video. When she finished, the silence stretched so long she thought the call had dropped. "Pack a bag," he finally said. "Dad? I'm serious. Pack a bag. You're staying with the Johnsons this weekend." The Johnsons were a military family they'd met at the base. Good people. Safe people. "I'll be home in an hour." "Dad, I can handle—" "This isn't about what you can handle. This is about what they might do. I've seen this before. Skylar, rich civilians with wounded pride and too much power. They don't fight fair." After he hung up, Skylar sat in the dark apartment. Surrounded by boxes they might have to pack again. 6 schools in 10 years. She'd gotten good at leaving, at starting over, at being the new girl who became invisible until it was time to move again. But something felt different this time. Maybe it was the way Jaden had looked when she mentioned the pills, not angry, but terrified. Maybe it was the camera in her hands, her mother's last gift, the one constant in a life of variables. Or maybe it was just that she was tired of yielding. Her phone lit up with another notification. The video had hit 100,000 views, but it was the newest comment that made her blood run cold. "Found her address. Who wants to pay her a visit?" She stood up, moved to the window. The parking lot below was empty except for a few cars. Normal Friday night quiet. But as she watched, a black SUV pulled in slowly. Parked. Nobody got out. Just sat there. Engine running, lights off. Skylar's hands weren't shaking anymore. She pulled out her phone and started recording through the window. The SUV, the license plate, the timestamp. Then she did what her grandfather had taught her to do when faced with a stronger opponent. She adapted. A text to Mrs. Peterson, black SUV outside my apartment. License plate Colorado BMK 8479. Sitting there with engine running. Related to today. The response came quickly. "Stay inside. Lock everything. Calling police now." But Skylar was already moving. Packing like her father had taught her. Quick. Efficient. Essential items only. Laptop. Camera. Chargers. 3 changes of clothes. The wooden box that held her mother's ashes. The one thing she'd never leave behind. As she zipped the bag, she heard footsteps in the hallway. Heavy. Multiple sets. They stopped outside her door. Then, nothing. Just breathing on the other side of the wood. Waiting. Her phone vibrated. A video message from an unknown number. She opened it against her better judgment. It was footage from inside the boys' bathroom. Wednesday morning. Her walking in. Jaden at the sink, but edited, spliced, made to look like she'd been filming him, like she'd been stalking, hunting. The narrative flipped completely. This goes live in 1 hour. Unless you publicly apologize and admit you attacked me unprovoked. Read the attached message. Your choice. The footsteps moved away from her door. The SUV's engine shut off, somewhere in the distance. Sirens wailed, but Skylar knew they weren't coming for her. Not yet. She looked at the fake video again. Professional quality. The kind of thing that required planning, resources, connections, The kind of thing that could destroy her before she ever got to tell her side. 1 hour. In judo. Her grandfather had taught her about the moment of commitment. When you stop defending and start attacking. When you use your opponent's strength against them. When you become the tsunami instead of the yielding water. Skylar Bennett looked around the apartment that had been home for exactly 3 days. Thought about her father coming home to find her gone. About another school. Another fresh start. Another chance to be invisible. Then she thought about Jaden's pills scattered on the bathroom floor. About the panic in his eyes. About Brooklyn's fierce protection of a secret everyone pretended not to see. About a system that let kids medicate their way through impossible pressure while punishing anyone who witnessed their breaking point. She opened her laptop, started typing. Not an apology, not a denial, something else entirely. My name is Skylar Bennett. In 1 hour. A video will be released trying to destroy me. Before that happens, I want to tell you the truth, all of it, about what really happened at Riverside High, about why Jaden Cooper is so desperate to silence me, and about the price we're all paying for our silence. She hit record on her webcam, took a deep breath, and began. On Wednesday morning, I walked into the wrong bathroom and saw something I wasn't supposed to see. Skylar's finger hovered over the upload button. 37 minutes left before Jaden's fake video went live. Her own recording stared back at her from the laptop screen. 12 minutes of raw truth that would either save her or destroy them both. Her phone exploded with notifications. The black SUV was gone, but the damage was already spreading. Someone had leaked her school records, her dad's military reassignments, even her mother's death certificate. The internet mob was building their narrative unstable military brat with a dead mom and a history of violence. Then her dad burst through the door, still in uniform, breathing hard. Skylar, we need to... He stopped, seeing her packed bag, the laptop, her face. You're not running. No, Dad, I'm not. He crossed the room in 3 strides, pulled her into the kind of hug he usually saved for deployments. That's my girl, but we're not doing this alone. 20 minutes later, they were in Mrs. Peterson's living room. The school counselor lived in a modest house in Aurora. Walls covered with photos of students she'd helped over 20 years. She poured coffee with steady hands while Skylar explained everything. I know about Jaden's anxiety, Mrs. Peterson said quietly. His parents have been hiding it since freshman year. They think therapy is weakness, pills are easier, quieter. She looked older suddenly, tired. You're not the first person he's tried to silence. What do you mean? Mrs. Peterson pulled out a folder. Inside were incident reports, all marked resolved or withdrawn. A sophomore who'd seen Jaden's panic attack after losing state semifinals. A janitor who'd found him passed out in the equipment room. A teammate who'd tried to convince him to get real help. They all backed down, she said. Money, threats, promises. The Cooper machine protects its own. Skylar's dad set down his coffee hard enough to slosh. Not this time. There's something else, Mrs. Peterson continued. Jaden's brother Ethan, he's not just running security. He's been supplying half the athletics department with study drugs, steroids, whatever they need to maintain their perfect images. The school board knows, but the Coopers donate $2 million a year. Skylar finished. $3 million, actually. They just funded the new stadium. Skylar looked at her phone. 18 minutes left. The fake video was already being teased on Jaden's social media. Coming soon. The truth about the girl who attacked me. She thought about uploading her response. Fighting fire with fire. But something her grandfather once said echoed in her mind. The strongest victory is when your enemy defeats himself. I need to talk to Jaden, she said suddenly. Her dad and Mrs. Peterson exchanged looks. Skylar, that's not safe. Not alone, but I need to talk to him. She pulled up his Instagram. The most recent post showed him at home, ice pack on his back. Brooklyn hovering nearby. The caption read, "Can't keep a champion down. See you Monday. Riverside." But Skylar saw what others might miss. The way his smile didn't reach his eyes. The death grip Brooklyn had on his shoulder. The pill bottle barely visible on the table behind them. He's not okay, she said. This isn't just about me anymore. 15 minutes until the fake video dropped. Skylar made her choice. Instead of uploading her tell-all, she went live on Instagram. No preparation, no script. Just her, sitting in Mrs. Peterson's living room with her dad beside her. My name is Skylar Bennett, she began. In 15 minutes, a video will be posted trying to make me look like a stalker. It's fake. But that's not what matters right now. The viewer count climbed. 50, 100, 500. What matters is that we're all so scared. Scared of looking weak. Scared of being real. Scared of admitting we're drowning. She took a breath. On Wednesday, I saw someone having a panic attack. I didn't take pictures. I didn't judge. Because I've been there after my mom died. I couldn't breathe for months. Couldn't sleep. Couldn't function without help. 2,000 viewers. 3,000. But I got help. Real help. Not just pills to hide the pain, but people who taught me it's okay to break sometimes. It's okay to be human. She looked directly at the camera. Jaden, if you're watching this, I'm not your enemy. Your anxiety isn't your enemy. The only enemy is the lie that you have to be perfect. Her phone started ringing. Unknown number. She declined. It rang again immediately. Answer it, her dad said quietly. Speakerphone. She did. What are you doing? Jaden's voice, raw and desperate. Telling the truth. You're ruining everything. My scholarship. My future. No, Jaden. You're ruining yourself. How many more pills? How many more panic attacks in bathrooms? How long before your body can't take it anymore? Silence. Then, barely audible. I can't stop. If I stop. If people know, they already know, Skylar said gently. Everyone knows something's wrong. They're just too scared to say it. The live stream comments were exploding. Students from Riverside, parents, teachers, athletes from other schools sharing their own stories. The wall of silence, cracking, crumbling. My brother's coming for you, Jaden said. I can't stop him. He says you're bad for business. Then come here. Both of you. Mrs. Peterson's house. Let's end this before someone gets hurt. Are you insane? No, I'm tired. Aren't you tired? Jaden. Another long silence. In the background, Skylar could hear Brooklyn arguing with someone. Ethan, probably. Then car doors slamming. They're coming, Jaden whispered. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The line went dead. Skylar's dad stood up. We're leaving. Now. But Mrs. Peterson was already at the window. Too late. Black Escalade just pulled up. The live stream viewer count hit 10,000. Comments flooded in. Call the police. We're coming to help. This is insane. Skylar kept the camera rolling. Whatever happens next. Remember, this isn't about one bully or one victim. It's about a system that values image over health, perfection over truth. The doorbell rang. Mrs. Peterson opened it. Ethan Cooper stood there, all 6 feet 4 inches of barely contained rage. Behind him, Jaden looked small, hollow. Brooklyn clung to his arm like she was holding him upright. "Turn off the camera," Ethan demanded. "No," Skylar said simply. He stepped inside, uninvited. "Do you have any idea what you've done? I've got kids depending on me. A business. You think you're some hero, exposing truth. You're just a nobody trying to get famous off my brother's pain." "Your brother's pain?" Skylar stood up, her dad moving protectively closer. "You mean the pain you've been numbing with pills instead of treating? The anxiety you've been feeding because therapy might hurt your family image?" "Shut up!" Jaden suddenly screamed. Everyone froze. He was shaking, tears streaming. "Just shut up, all of you!" He pushed past Ethan, past Brooklyn, stood in the middle of the room like he was about to shatter. "You want the truth? Fine. I've been taking Xanax since I was 14. Started with 1 pill before games. Now it's 3, just to get through practice. My hands shake so bad, some mornings I can't hold a basketball." "Jaden, stop," Ethan warned. "No." Jaden turned on his brother. "You stop. You gave me those first pills. Said it would give me an edge. Said Dad never had to know. But you knew. Didn't you? You knew what it would become." The live stream comments went silent. 20,000 people watching a family implode in real time. "I can't sleep," Jaden continued, the words pouring out like a dam breaking. "Can't eat. Can't think about anything but the next game, the next pill, the next lie. And when she saw me in that bathroom, when she didn't say anything, didn't judge, just left." He looked at Skylar. "It was the first time in years someone saw me breaking and didn't try to fix me or use me. They just let me be human." Brooklyn started crying. Ethan's face cycled through anger, fear, and something that might have been shame. "But I was so scared," Jaden whispered. "Scared you'd tell. Scared everyone would know. So I did what I always do. I attacked. I tried to destroy you before you could destroy me." Skylar set down her phone, keeping the live stream running. She walked over to Jaden, this boy who'd terrorized her, threatened her, tried to ruin her life. She saw him clearly now, not a monster, but a kid drowning in pressure he never asked for. "I forgive you," she said simply. Those 3 words broke something in the room. Jaden collapsed into a chair, sobbing. Real tears this time, not the hidden ones in bathroom stalls. Brooklyn knelt beside him, her own mask finally slipping. Even Ethan seemed to deflate, the rage leaving him like air from a punctured balloon. Mrs. Peterson stepped forward. "This is what I've been trying to tell your parents for years. Jaden needs help. Real help. Not pills, not cover-ups, but actual treatment." "My father will never," Ethan started. "Your father isn't here." Mrs. Peterson cut him off. "But 40,000 people are watching this live stream, including, I'd bet, college recruiters, board members, news outlets. The secret's out. The only question now is whether you're going to keep hurting each other or start healing." Skylar picked up her phone. The viewer count had hit 50,000. Comments were pouring in faster than anyone could read. Support for Jaden. Anger at the system. Stories from other students, other schools, other pressure cookers pretending to be educational institutions. "I'm ending the stream," she announced. This family needs privacy to figure out what comes next. But I want everyone watching to remember this strength isn't about being unbreakable. It's about having the courage to show your cracks and ask for help. She hit end. The sudden silence felt deafening. Ethan looked at his brother. Really looked at him for maybe the first time in years. "Mom would have hated this," he said quietly. "What we became after she died." That was news to Skylar. Another loss buried under bravado. "She would have wanted us to get help," Jaden replied. "She went to therapy. Remember, before the cancer. She said it made her stronger. Dad made us promise never to talk about that. Dad made us promise a lot of things that are killing us." Monday morning came like a held breath finally released. Skylar walked into Riverside High not knowing what to expect. The video of her throwing Jaden had been overshadowed completely by the live stream. The fake stalker video never got uploaded. The conversation had shifted from "who won the fight" to "how did we let it get this bad?" The hallways were different, quieter. Kids nodded at her, not hero worship, not fear, just acknowledgement. She'd shown them something they'd all been afraid to see in themselves. Jaden wasn't at school. Neither was Ethan, who'd turned himself into the police for drug distribution. The Cooper empire was crumbling, but maybe something better could be built from the ruins. At lunch, Skylar sat in her usual spot in the photography room. But this time, she wasn't alone. A sophomore with anxiety, a junior recovering from Adderall addiction, a freshman whose parents demanded straight A's or else. They didn't talk much, just sat together, understanding that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit you're not okay. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Her finger hesitated, then opened it. "Thank you." That was all. But the attached photo showed Jaden at a treatment center. No forced smile, no bravado, just a kid taking the first step toward healing. Skylar raised her camera and took a picture through the window. The mountains in the distance, the sky clearing after weeks of gray, the light breaking through in ways that made ordinary things look like art. Her grandfather called that evening. He'd seen everything online. Of course. "You used your strength well," he said in his careful English. "Not just the throw, the harder thing, the after." "I almost uploaded my own attack video," she admitted. "Almost fought fire with fire." "But you didn't. You became water that heals instead of water that drowns. Your mother would be proud." After they hung up, Skylar looked around the apartment. Still boxes in corners, but somehow it felt less temporary. Her dad was cooking dinner, humming off key. The camera sat on the counter, waiting for tomorrow's light. Her phone showed message after message. Students from Riverside. Parents thanking her for starting a conversation. Teachers asking how to help. Even a few college recruiters, not for athletics, but for photography programs that had seen her work in the background of all the drama. But the message that mattered most came from Mrs. Peterson. "Emergency school board meeting tomorrow. They want to discuss mandatory mental health resources. Real help, not just hotlines. You changed something. Skylar, something that needed changing. 6 schools in 10 years. 6 fresh starts. 6 times being the outsider looking in. But maybe that's what it took. Someone who could see clearly because they weren't part of the system. Someone who knew what it meant to be broken and rebuilt. Someone who understood that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to play by rules that are killing people." Skylar Bennett picked up her camera one more time. Through the viewfinder. The world looked different now. Not perfect, not fixed, but honest, real, worth capturing. The shutter clicked. Outside, the Colorado sun set behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of gold and purple. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. The Cooper family's influence wouldn't disappear overnight. The culture of perfection at any cost wouldn't change with one live stream. But something had shifted. A crack in the wall, light getting in. And sometimes, that's how the strongest changes begin, not with earthquakes, but with tiny fractures that spread until the whole structure has to be rebuilt into something better. Skylar smiled, thinking of her grandfather's words one more time. Be like water. It yields until it can't. It finds the cracks, it persists, and eventually, it reshapes everything it touches.